What's going on? Oh, yeah. What is happening out there today, boys and girls? Sunday morning, January 10th, 2021. Hope you're having a spectacular day so far, wherever you are. I'm looking out at the San Jacintos, and all I can say is, wow. It's going to be another spectacular day today on the grass courts this morning. God, weather here in the desert is supposed to go to 88, high 80s this week. Looking forward to that. A little bit of heat, a little bit more sweat, right? What we talked about a few days ago, crack a great sweat. Well, guess what? This week is going to be, the heat's going to be pumping it out. I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, guys, look, we're on 10th day of our 31-day reboot. January 2021, the reboot. We're looking for a little physicality reset. It could be for several different reasons you want to get involved with this. Could be you want to shed some pounds, lose some weight. Could be you want better sleep, maybe some more energy. And today I got something for you that's going to give you a lot more energy. Get rid of that brain fog, recovery from anything you're doing, working out. And then in my case, knocking out inflammation is really my number one priority with the way I eat, the supplements that I take. I've been fortunate enough for the last 9 months to be off of the ibuprofen I was taking, 2 or 3 ibuprofen every day, to be able to try to, bust away some of that inflammation that I create almost every day, right? Just about every day because of tennis or off-court training. And so it's good that I found something that's got me off of drugs to be able to help me with that. If you want to know more about that, if you've got any inflammation problems or soreness, systemic problems, just go ahead and direct message me, or you can shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. More than happy to kind of give you my short little list of plant-based supplements that I take on a daily basis that really help me with that. Guys, let's do this. I want to share my screen with you. And what I want to show you is right here. Kind of take you back to where we started, which was, and let me see what you're looking at here. Okay. All right, good. So, just a quick recap. And look, we're on the 10th day. We're a third of the way through the month. And if you've been with me since January 1st, you could be, right at that threshold where you may not be seeing much, if any, results from whatever you decided to do. And, the first thing I told you on January 1 is, what's the one thing that you can eliminate for the next 31 days? And I listed out 9 things. I put a 10th one here, which were, the 3 question marks, is maybe there's something else that I didn't list here that that if you were to just cut out that one thing for the 31 days in January, or if you're just getting started today with me for the next 31 days, right? And for me and my wife, it's been alcohol. We're not heavy drinkers, but gosh, we sure like a, late afternoon here in the desert, especially a little beverage or 2. And, but I just think that we decided, I don't know, we just kind of picked out alcohol as a thing to do this month. So we're doing the classic dry January. And, but again, it could be that whatever you've cut out from this list, you're not really feeling great results yet. And all I can tell you is don't give up. Hang in there, right? It's like that miner, right? The gold miners who were, like 6 inches from that big gold vein in the mine, and they gave up. And all they had to do was just work a couple more days. And the next thing you know is boom. Same thing here, right? Make sure you're picking out one thing and working on it. The second, we worked on something called your outcomes are a lagging measure of your habits. And that's really kind of the message that I just gave you too. The results don't show up right away, right? It is, can you start to create some daily habits? And they're probably small habits. And just because you go work out today for the first time in 6 months doesn't mean that you're in great shape. Probably the second day, you're not feeling so good, right? So give it some time. January 3rd, you don't rise to the level of your goals. Instead, you fall to the level of your systems. Goals, we got to have a goal. right? It could be that you want to shed some pounds, let's say 15 pounds. Great goal. How are you going to get there? Just thinking about your goal every day is not going to make it happen. You've got to have daily systems, and those systems are what habits are you building? January 4th, the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. And look, I mean, a lot of people, you think of smokers, right? And they want to quit smoking. And for a lot of smokers, when they stop identifying as a smoker who's just trying to not smoke, it's really tough. You've actually got to think about yourself as, if you're trying to shed pounds, you know what? I am in the process of getting in great shape, as opposed to, I'm just trying to lose weight on a kind of a temporary basis. You've got to identify with that thing that you want to become. January 5th, the greatest threat to success is not failure, but boredom. Totally. We get bored with habits because they stop delighting us. And this is, of course, from the great James Clear, his book, Atomic Habits. The outcome becomes expected. And as our habits become ordinary, we start derailing our progress to seek novelty, to seek something new. Same thing with me in the tennis court. Man, I go out there and I got to make sure that whatever I'm working on, I want to get bored. I want to have that sense of, I'm getting bored with this thing, which is the message of, let's just keep going. Let's not change. January 6th, crack a good sweat today. Come on, we got to get out there. We got to move. Maybe you're not doing the gusher sweating, but you got to move the body. You got to get out there. If you're to do a physical reboot, you've got to be in the habit of daily moving the body. Whether that's, for me, we're super fortunate here. I can get out in mid-70-degree weather, even play some doubles and crack a decent sweat, right? Typically, though, if I play some doubles, I like to get in the stationary bike for maybe 20 or 30 minutes later that day to ensure that I crack a good sweat for that day. But even speed walking is enough to do it in lousy weather, right? You can do it. January 7th, love this one. Will this make the boat go faster? All about the small decisions that we make throughout the day, which is either going to continue to move us towards our goal or not. And so we get presented with all kinds of decisions where, if I decide to do this thing, which is typically not a good thing, it's a small thing, but not good, it's not going to make the boat go faster. January 8th, what's holding you back from getting started? And typically it's, we look out at the next 31 days and go, oh, you know what? I got a big party coming up on the 20th. Nah, I better not get started. Hey man, you got to get started today, and you've just got to come up with a plan for that big party. How are you going to navigate that thing in terms of, maybe you're just going to abstain from certain things, eating and or drinking or whatever, but you've got to have a plan as to how you're going to handle those few hours at that party. Maybe you're traveling. Okay, yesterday we had the great Cliff Yates on, the Vegan Fountain of Youth book. Very small little book, but a great story from this guy. Just a great story. And I hope that you either caught that live yesterday or maybe in the replay. And you can get his book over at Amazon, The Vegan Fountain of Youth. And Cliff was, he was the first one to admit, as I do as well, we're not 100%, pretty darn close. He and I don't eat red meat. We don't eat chicken. We eat a tiny little bit of fish now and then. I can't really justify it, but I just do it. But anyway, I would, if you've been thinking about plant-based eating and how that might help you improve your health, I definitely recommend you pick up Cliff's book. It's very, very small. And the Vegan Fountain of Youth book. And then today, guys, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting, also known as time-restricted eating. And I just want to tell you kind of how it's worked for me. And let me get back to stopping the share. And there we go. So intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, by definition is, when we think of fasting, we think of, well, I'm not going to have anything to eat for the next day, for the next couple of days, whatever. Brutal. Just brutality, right? So, but intermittent fasting is something where you don't consume any calories for a significant period of time. And that significant period of time could be 12 plus hours. Now, a lot of people do this naturally without even thinking about it, right? They go ahead and they finish dinner at 8 o'clock, and then they maybe skip breakfast. But there still is, and if you think about 8 o'clock until maybe noon, well, that's 16 hours. But there's typically some kind of calories that go in there. Could be half and half in your coffee. And I'm telling you, any kind of calorie can trigger your, and I'm not a scientist on this, so this is my understanding of it, but it does produce an insulin response. And an insulin response is the thing that kind of stops the fasting part of it. So here's what I've done. And we don't do this every day, but we do it from time to time. We used to do it a lot. We now do it less, but the benefits for me are still the same. There's still a sort of like we said before, a lagging measure of the habits. And so what we'll do is we will stop eating on a day, not every day. It's going to sound kind of crazy, but we'll eat around 4:30 in the afternoon, be done by 5 o'clock, and that's it until about 7 the next morning, right? And that for me is from 5 until 7, that's 14 hours. But for some reason, that time period from 5 p.m. until 7 a.m., and 7 a.m. is going out there and having the little, espresso with, a little bit of, I don't do dairy. I do a little kind of funky other kind of milk in there. But that is sort of my 14 hours. And yeah, when you first do this, it's from 5 o'clock on, you're kind of thinking, God dang, man, I got to kind of white knuckle my way until I go to bed on this thing. And the first few times you try it, yeah, it's a little bit of a, discipline thing where, because we're into habits of either eating and finishing later and or having a little dessert, a little cookie, a little candy, a little something, after dinner. And so for us, I would say a couple times a week. I mean, and there was a time where gosh, I mean, we were doing it like six days a week. But we're now a couple times a week. And here's what I feel. Number one is I sleep better. Right? And when I used to have problems sleeping was because I would eat either too late and my body's just kind of crunching, trying to digest all my food a couple hours before I go to bed. I might fall asleep, but I would wake up, at 1:58 in the morning. Great. Now what do I do? So I like that time from stopping eating at 5 o'clock, nothing until I go to bed. And let's say it's 9:30 or 10 o'clock. By then my body's had plenty of time to digest my food. I sleep so much better when I do that. The next thing is it kind of clears away the brain fog, right? In the mornings when we wake up or throughout the day, you kind of have this kind of foggy brain. And a lot of that comes from the types of foods we eat, but it also comes from, and this whole thing about snacking throughout the day, I suppose it's okay, but you still need a longer period of time to be able to have your body kind of go through the time restricted eating period. For me, it's 14 hours. For other people, it's 16 hours. 12 hours for a lot of people kind of works, but for me, it doesn't. The 12 hours is just not enough time. So the other thing I get is I get clarity. I get so much more mental clarity when I do that. And so look, I would encourage you to try this. Again, it's not something that you want to be doing, I don't think, on a daily basis, but maybe try it a couple of days in a row and just kind of see and just see how you feel. And especially if you're trying to lose weight, there's a caloric restriction part of your day, right? Where you have no calories going in, your body starts to get a little stressed and it likes that. It starts to burn fat. And so I would recommend that you try it. Again, not a doctor, not certified in anything whatsoever. So if you think this is something you ought to talk to your doctor about, then do it or do some more research. I'm just telling you, I'm just sharing my stories of what's worked for me, trying to cover my butt on this thing. So I just think I probably should, right? But for us, it works. And I really like the feeling the next day of a better night's sleep, of much better mental clarity, and just kind of a better energy, right? A non-caffeinated, non-buzzy type of energy that works for me. So again, if you're trying to lose some weight, I highly recommend that you try it. Go online, go ahead and Google time-restricted eating, Google intermittent fasting, and see what you come up with. And I think there's a lot of compelling evidence, scientific evidence, as to why there are a lot of benefits of doing it. Guys, that's it from me today. Man, I am looking forward to getting out in the grass this morning. And okay, that's all I can tell you. Listen, always want to hear from you, right? And what I've been telling you is that, especially the beginning of today's message is, today is January 10th. You may this be this, if you start with me January 1, this is your 10th day. This could be a really important kind of threshold for you in terms of you've started some new habits, you've dropped one thing, but maybe you haven't seen the results yet that you're hoping for. And so all I can tell you is, look, hang in there, keep going, don't miss a day, and use me as your wingman, right? Use me as your accountability partner. Use me as you can direct message me on Facebook. You can shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com, and just tell me what you're up to. Tell me what you're working on. And I promise to get back with you and, at least kind of quote unquote, kind of hold your hand if you need some hand holding through this thing, because some of this stuff's not easy. I get it, but you got to get through. You got to get through without trying to measure each and every day as to how you're doing. And just go to work, man. Put on that hard hat, put on the, whatever it takes. Guys, with that said, hope this has helped today, and looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. But as always, you must get out there today, help someone else have a spectacular day. And guys, I will see you again tomorrow.